Let's continue discussing how we can use intensive reading program to enhance the grammatical competence of our students, or how we can train them consciously take notice of some of the grammatical features present in a given passage when the passage used in an intensive reading program. As you remember, in the previous module, I gave an idea of teaching parts of speech. And the reason why we need to teach the rules of the grammar, let's say parts of speech or active or passive voice, teach them in their context is that it makes meaningful input for the learners. Okay. And it has its significance, which need to be discussed here. Firstly, teaching parts of speech or active or passives or conditional sentences or first conditional is to enhance, to give meaningful input to the students. I mean, what they are reading, if they are reading grammar in a particular context, in its context is they're not only the sentences make sense to the students, but also enhance their competence in terms of understanding grammar in its various usage. So we can secondly train our students to make the use of the dictionaries in an effective way and understand the sentence in a better way. And if we are more focusing on the rules or teaching grammar in an intensive reading program through prescriptive manner, where we just prescribe the rules, the students may feel less involved and they may not be able to understand the overall message given in the text. So teaching rules of the grammar or the features of the grammar in an intensive reading program in its context is all the more important because it gives meaningful input to the students. I mean, what they read makes sense to them, they infer the meaning, they understand it, and it leaves impression upon their minds. And there are various activities which we as EFL teacher can bring in the classroom in an intensive reading program. One of the activities is just to ask the students to read the passage and then look for noun verb. Instead of explaining them or instead of preaching them or teaching them the meta language, the rules, or the noun verb relationship that could be achieved through cooperative sort of group work or coordination activity, where we can, for example, if the passage is already given out there for the students, we can simplify the sentences and we can simplify the noun groups. And because simplifying the sentences or the noun groups will help the students understand the overall message of a sentence. So it makes easier for the students to draw connection between different sentences, and at the same time we are teaching them the grammatical features. So there is another way of doing it. Instead of finding, we can ask them to draw a circle around noun verb in the passage, or just to put them in the bracket, or we can include exercises which encourage students to find out the grammar features and what these refer to. For example, they find out the first conditional, and that we can ask our students to say what the first conditional actually, the use of if refers to. Or we can use another exercise, which is to make the students rewrite some of the sentences which contain one or two aspects of a grammar. So there are various activities which we as EFL teachers can use to teach to make our students consciously notice the features of the grammar in a given passage. So the whole point which I want to make is we shouldn't teach the grammatical features through intensive reading program in a decontextualized manner. Rather, we should put the sentences or give the passage to the students and ask them to find out the grammatical rules. So instead of explaining the rules of the grammar to them, or instead of asking them to memorize the rules of the grammar and then apply. So this is how involving them, teaching them grammar in its context will make meaning-focused input for the students.